Yo, hey y'all. Alright, so I just want to do a quick video kind of showcasing the best of my 2012 in regards to the horror related things that I got. Alright, so this includes everything from DVDs, VHSs, a Blu-ray, books, magazines, that kind of thing. All, of course, in relation to, well, the horror genre. So I'm going to begin on this. And I'm going to begin with one of my absolutely favorite horror movie magazines, which is kind of hard to say because I can't actually name a favorite. I love Whorehound, I love Fangoria, the new Fangoria, and I love Rue Morgue. So, but, I'm going to showcase issues, my favorite issues of this past year, dedicated to those magazines at first. So with the Whorehound, I'm going to begin with, in the summertime, I believe it was, I don't know, the July-August issue right here, with Rob Zombie on the cover. This was in relation to all the lengthy retrospective of heavy metal and rock music that was heavily influenced in the horror genre itself. So everything from the 80s, because of course in the 80s, music was a very big selling point with soundtracks and such for, the 80s horror films and the fans. And it also goes all the way up till now, to 2012, from when I got this issue. And it's got a lot of lengthy shit in here. Probably not going to show you everything, but yeah, it just goes into, it breaks down everything from like movies with heavy metal and rock music, as you see, like Trick or Treat and Dream Maniac, The Gates, Hard Rock Zombies, Slum Party Massacre 2, Killer Party, all that cool kind of shit right there. Alright, so next is going to be, now I could care less for this Walking Dead cover issue, but on the other alternate issue cover is of Gremlins, and this issue of Whorehound that came out in September is all dedicated to what's one of my favorites of the horror subgenres, which is children horror or kid-friendly horror films. So everything in this issue is cram-packed to the gill, full of everything from the PG-13 rated films from like the 70s and 80s and even 90s of horror films. So it covers everything from The Gate, Monster Squad, the Willies, the Spookies, all of it, everything that was kind of within the kid-friendly region, So it dedicated this whole entire issue to all that, and this was an awesome issue for that. But here, I'll show you also something else that was pretty cool in here, not to ramble on, but, you got a lengthy Gremlins retrospective in here, as well as, all these old school 80s horror type sci-fi toys, that came out. So it's got a retrospective on all that as well. My Pet Monster and, My Science Project and all those kind of things. All like the old school kids Halloween masks. I remember I had one of these Frankenstein masks from back then. It does a whole retrospective on Halloween 3. But yeah, it's an awesome issue. It was a damn favorite of mine. So, okay, enough about that. Okay, the next magazine I'm going to move on to real quick is Rue Morgue. And one of my favorite issues of this entire past year was, of course, the issue dedicated to The Entity, the scary supernatural horror film from, I believe, 1983, about a woman's house being haunted, or, well, her being haunted and being raped all the time by this unseen entity in the confines of her house and outside her house. And this issue was dedicated to that, and it was a special issue because not only does it have a badass purple blue-hued cover, but it's also the last and only interview with the director who made this film, who ever grant the last interview. That was really cool. All right. The next one, of course, is with Rue Morgue. Every year they put out a seminal Halloween issue that's jam-packed full of just shit everywhere. And I don't mean shit as in crap, but in good horror shit. And this issue was the double issue, as usual. The Halloween issues are hard-binded, and it had Frankenstein on the cover, so it's celebrating all that kind of stuff right there. So I love this issue right here. I love every Halloween issue they put out. All right, going to the last magazines, we're going to talk about Fangoria. And some of my favorites this year were Fangoria was the special Roger Corman black and white covered issue right here with Vincent Price, of course, on the cover. And it also, contained everything about Silent House, some Dark Shadows, and some other little things, but it's sprinkled throughout. But it was an awesome issue of old school Roger Corman horror films. The next was this Dark Shadows issue of Fangoria that came out, I believe, in April or May, right before the movie came out. And it was jam-packed of other stuff, such as the independent film Tales of Poe, the Theater Bazaar, all that sorts of things. Plus, I had an awesome artist do a recreation of the Doctor from Dark Shadows on the back cover, which I love this photo right here, or this picture. Next was the main issue dedicated to B horror movie actress Debbie Racone, but also had a big lengthy coverage on this little scene but big huge fan based zombie film from the 80s called The Video Dead, and a friend of mine wrote the article, so this is a pretty cool article I like as well, or pretty cool issue I like because of a lot of those things. So, okay, that's enough of the magazines. Now I'm going to move on to my VHSs. Alright, I acquired several good VHSs this past year through, friends, family, myself, whatnot. And some of the ones I got, these are going to be the ones I'm going to showcase I actually love to have in my collection. To begin with was, finally I got in my collection to complete the franchise, was Night of the Demons Part 3. As you see right here. Alright, I'm glad to have this in my collection. It's my least favorite of the franchise, but I'm glad to have it. You know what I mean? Alright. The next was, my childhood favorite was Saturday the 14th. This was pretty fun and badass when I was growing up, and it still is for myself. Alright, okay. The next is rollicking, rock and roll, good Stephen King horror film from the mid-80s, and it actually bothered me when I was a kid, but it's a fun movie nonetheless, and that is Maximum Overdrive. Okay, the next is one I always grew up seeing in the video store back in the era of the VHS video store, and I always looked at it but never watched it, but I finally got it this past year, and I liked it. It was a fun, enjoyable one, and that is Dead Time Stories. This is like from 85, 86, or 87. But, yeah, that's the cover. I'm sure a lot of you VHS people who grew up during that time, too, remember this VHS cover on the video rack. I sure as hell do. Okay, and the last but not least of the VHSs that I got this past year that I enjoyed was Don't Open Till Christmas. The sleazy European British slasher film of a guy going around killing around a lot of Santa Clauses in town. People dressed as Santa Claus. It's cool. It was very, very graphic, brutal, and it was a cool British slasher film. Okay, so now, moving on. Okay, now I'm going to do my favorite of the few I got of the movies that were re-released onto DVD and Blu-ray with special bonuses and stuff like that were really awesome releases. And the ones I got that I'm going to showcase are, first and foremost, the Blu-ray I got was Night of the Creeps. This was an awesome fucking Blu-ray. Awesome fucking additional stuff on it, and the movie looks so awesome on this. Okay, this is a big fan of this 80s film. That's Night of the Creeps on Blu-ray. Sorry. There you go. All right. Okay. The next one is going to be Shout Factory, Scream Factory's rendition of The Funhouse, which I love the fact that they have these awesome, tons of special features. It's cleaned up, has beautiful packaging. Okay, it has an alternate cover plus the original cover, which I love right here. It's awesome. Scream, Shout Factory, Scream Factory, whatever they're known as now. They're the best in putting out quality re-releases of old horror films. Alright? But my favorite re-release of this year so far that I've watched over and over and over, I'll go ahead and say the runner-up was Halloween 3, The Season of the Witch, but I don't own that one. I borrowed it from one of my best friends. But this one I have is fucking amazing, and that is Halloween 2, the original Halloween 2 from 1981. Okay? Get a load of that. And it's chock full of features, featurettes, interviews, all this cool stuff. And it also, of course, has the original cover underneath with this new awesome cover. So I love that. So I want to thank Shout Factory for these. That was a grand prize I got, or present I got, and I love it. All right, so. And the next ones I'm going to showcase are movies that have been around on DVD for a while, but I just finally got this past year that I love. All right, so I'm going to begin with Trilogy of Terror. Right, this is a great Karen Black little anthology film from Dan Curtis. Love it. All right, the next is The Wraith. Okay, This is awesome, awesome Charlie Sheen fucking 80s film right here, revenge flick. I love it. It's awesome. Very 80s, cool ass soundtrack, cool chase sequences on the road. Awesome. Alright. The next is The Boogans. This is a little scene Utah monster creature feature flick that came out recently on DVD. Of course, with Wendy from Prom Night in it, I had to watch it, and I absolutely love this. It's atmospheric and awesome. It's by the guy who also produced Silent Night, Deadly Night, the original. Okay, The Boogans. Okay, the next is, and don't laugh, but you know what? I grew up on this since I was a kid in middle school, and I love it for all its Halloween charm. And even if it's Disney, it's still cool. It's still, you know, pretty fun flick, and that is Hocus Pocus. Finally got this around Halloween season on DVD. Never had it on VHS or nothing, so I'm glad I finally have it. I love this movie. It's definitely going to be a seasonal Halloween October event to watch. Alright, so, and this isn't horror, so I kind of I'm going to backslide here. This isn't quite horror, but finally got this on DVD, and I love these films. I can watch them over and over, and this just goes for these first 4 films. Nothing rests in the franchise. I hate the rest of the franchise, but the first 4 films of the Police Academy series, I love these movies, alright? Especially the ones with Zed in them, which is part 2, 3, and 4. Those are my favorites. Although part 1's very awesome as well, but parts 2, 3, and 4 of Police Academy are my favorite of the series. They're funny as fuck. I grew up on these since a kid, so maybe it's part of nostalgia. I don't know, but I love it. Alright, so last but not least, the best other DVD I got this past year that was a re-release that came out probably some time ago, but also, and again, I got tons of re-releases and movies this past year, but these are the ones that I'm showcasing that I love the best, or I'm just kind of glad they're in my collection. And this is a double feature, but the main one on here is The Last Slumber Party. Okay, this is like, I already did a review for this movie right here, but all I gotta say is the best, worst movie ever fucking made. Alright? So, okay, moving on to movies that are brand new, that came out brand new on DVD this past year. Alright? Around my birthday, as a birthday present, I got this independent little slasher, college slasher film that came out, and it's pretty fucking cool. I like the director's vision, what he did, how old school he made it, and you know, everything from the old Black Christmas, the old Prom Night, and all that stuff, and that is The Sleeper. Fun college campus slasher flick. I highly recommend it if you are a fan of those. Alright? Okay. I'm probably the only one out there, but I'm a huge fan of this Tim Burton film. I was also a fan of the old source material it came from the 60s and the 90s revival, but the Tim Burton film was what I thought was a good return back to Tim Burton territory, with the quirky humor, but also all of the melodrama, all of the thrills, and the macabreness that comes forth in a Tim Burton film. And a lot of people bashed it, and the advertising for it sucked because it made it out to be a slapstick comedy, which it was not. But it did have its Tim Burton quirky charm sprinkled throughout. And that movie is Dark Shadows. I fucking love this movie. I've watched it probably, I saw it in the theater twice, and ever since it got on DVD, I've probably watched it like 12 times already. I love it, alright? Dark Shadows. I'm a fan. Okay? No shame. Okay, this movie's a little independent kind of movie, and I can't even actually describe what it is because it's in a genre of itself almost. But it is a modern day slasher slash teen high school comedy slash time travel slash body switching slash alien invasion. I can't even go on. But the movie that, if you know what I'm talking about, you know what movie I'm talking about, and that is Detention. I fucking love this movie. Yes, this movie is made for the ADD Twitter hashtag generation, but the director did it fucking right, and it's probably it's going to go down as a cult classic, I guarantee you. It's going to go down because it's one of those movies you're either going to love it or you're going to hate it. And it's already got a lot of love behind it, and I'm one of the lovers. So, you know, don't hate, but Detention, it fucking rocks, alright? It's a fun edited film to watch. The next movie I'm going to do is the family-friendly, kid-friendly horror film that came out this past summer that I absolutely adored and love, and that is Paranorman. This was a past favorite as well of mine this past year. Love this film. Didn't expect I'd like it so much, but I did. Okay, in the same vein as Paranorman goes this film. That is Tim Burton's Frankenweenie. This movie was fucking awesome. Alright, I'm glad I have it in my collection now. It made me laugh, it thrilled me, and it made me cry. I'm not going to fucking lie. This movie will touch on your tear ducts. Alright, I'll get those tear ducts working, so I have a box of tissues next to you. But Frankenweenie was fucking amazing and awesome. And all its glorious black and white imagery and everything. Love it. Alright. So the next is The one is very split by horror fans as well, but you know what? After the second and third time I watched it, everything kind of came to me, and I understood every segment of every part of the anthology, and made me even love it more, and that is VHS. It was a very ballsy movie made, you know, in the found footage anthology Canyon, and I thought they did a really good job with this. And now the sequel is about to come out, and I'm excited for it. So, but I was a fan of this film. It was something different, and you have to appreciate it for that. Okay, next is a movie that was made a while back ago, but just finally came out in the States here. We just recently, this past year, got it on DVD, and that is The Loved Ones. All right, this is a fucking amazing return to old gritty, old school horror like 1974's Texas Chainsaw Massacre. All right, you know, it's not, a lot of people want to say torture porn. Yeah, there's some torture in it, but to me, it was done tastefully with the director the way he did it, and it was not torture porn to me. It was a very well-made, modern-day Wolf Creek kind of, had that Wolf Creek / Texas Chainsaw Massacre thing going on, and it mixed with some John Hughes movies, you know, since it does take place on prom night with teenagers. But a fucking amazing movie nonetheless. Alright, so last but not least, my favorite movie that was an independent movie that came out this past year is Excision. Now, this isn't quite... Now, I've already done 2 reviews on my channel for this film alone, so obviously I love it. You know, I'm going to be biased. I think this movie is all awesome and greatness and everything. You cannot tell me nothing bad about this movie. But this movie is awesome. I'm glad I have it in my collection. I'm glad that this movie was made. And it's not quite horror, but it's not quite anything else either. It's a slash drama, dark comedy slash horror movie. But it will appeal to the horror fans of that pantheon. All right? And last but not least, the books I got this past, the first one will be, I got, that was written in England, I believe, called Teenage Wasteland, the slasher movie guide uncut. Fucking awesome. Just full of stuff in here that's really badass. Badass book if you're a slasher fan. Alright. Okay, the next is going to be, this one I've wanted for a long time, and that is Legacy of Blood. And that is a contemporary guide to slasher movies, and it covers everything, even ones I haven't heard of, and I've heard of everything. All right, everything from the past of slasher films. But this one even has some ones I'm not really too familiar with. So now it gave me things to look into and look at, and I'm excited for. So get a load of that cover. I believe that is of New York Ripper. Fucking love it. All right, see that? All right. Okay, and last but not least, this new one that came out called The Mammoth Book of Slasher Movies. And it is a mammoth book, jam-packed full of ratings and reviews and movies from A to Z of everything slasher films. Even some not-so-slasher films in this book, which I don't understand. But regardless, it's a cool book to read if you're a slasher movie fan and get other ideas for movies if you ever want to watch them. Alright? So that was it. That was my year of 2012 with horror. You know, there was other things that came in with that, with like new shirts, my little cool little hoodie, skeletal jacket, you know, but I'm not going to showcase all of that. Mainly the movies, books, and magazines, and that kind of such. But anyhow, so that was my best of 2012. Alright, peace out.